Ready, set. Hey, everybody, we are back. And know what's back? The Black Panther is back. Who else is here with me?
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
And
And
Kevin
the tone of my
Feige.
voice lets you know I am not happy.
Kevin Feige has found, well, no, Ryan Coogler called him up. And then Kevin Feige got chills when they heard that David Jonsson is the Black Panther. You know how they say like Stallone is such and such. David Jonsson is the Black Panther, and Ryan Coogler found him, and he has the same feel. They say in different places, but he had the same feel with like Chadwick Boseman, and I say Ryan Coogler didn't pick Chadwick Boseman, so he couldn't have had any chills. The Chadwick Boseman was built either by Feige or the Russos, and they put him in Civil War. You came later, buddy. So before I'm going too far. What are your thoughts on this casting?
This is terrible.
But they show a
This
face, but they show Ryan, they show they show Chadwick Boseman, and they show this guy. Even though every time we see him over here, his eyes are half closed, and that one, his eyes were open. How did he look exactly the same? And then we see him, we get we get did I have the other picture of that? I hope I did. We have this guy. We got this face. How do they keep saying this is the perfect choice? We see this face when he makes a smile, and then we don't think we don't think Chadwick Boseman. So what is so all right.
Are they honestly going to tell me that they see that face and they think Chadwick Boseman?
They have a shot where the guy's eyes is fully open. So when they come put it together, somehow it looks the same. So every time we see him without that merger,
No,
he don't look
no,
nothing
just
like
no.
him.
I'm looking at this picture right here, and one of the things I wanted with the Black Panther, I said, no, this guy has to have regal bearing. He needs to be a certain height, okay, because he's a king. He's got to present like this. And I did not, I know how they do things when it comes to the lead actors and so on and so forth. The lead actor is going to be 6 feet or better, and then all of the other actors around him will be like, they usually are like significantly smaller, 5'8", 5'6", that type of stuff. So you know who the lead is. There's no two ways about it. It's rare that you have two leads in there, like if they're both tall. That's a rare thing, or the other guy is taller, unless he's playing like Arrow, where he's playing like a bodyguard or something. So here, if I'm looking here, I'm like, okay, which one of these guys is the Black Panther? Immediately, I'm gonna look, at Manape over there and think Mbaku and think, okay, oh, Mbaku's the Black Panther now? They're like, no, it's the other guy. I'm like, one of these kids? Oh no, those aren't kids. Those aren't the Cosby kids. That's I'm like, well, wait a minute, which one is he? And you would never be able to pick. You would never be able to pick him out. The person who's supposed to have regal bearing and stand out is the guy over there. Is the guy over there on the right in Baku? This guy over here, he's just another face in the crowd. I don't know if they were trying to play like we're stupid and say, oh well, he's the new Black Panther, so he's younger, so he's still growing up. That type of like this dude is in his 30s. You're not gonna fool me. He's like 5'9", and I was like, no, no, no. I
Yeah.
need a guy who's at least 6 feet tall for this role. That's supposed to happen. Oh, they're like, no, I'm sorry. The visuals, no. These are things that are inescapable when you do film, and then when you take pictures like this. The Black Panther is not, he's not like this everyman Spider-Man type character or anything. He's supposed to have a certain presence. And when they cast Chadwick Boseman, I remember there was a picture. Who was he standing with? He was standing with Chris Evans and someone else. And when I saw there was no height disparity or no significant height disparity, I said yes. And then I had seen Chadwick Boseman act in the Jackie Robinson movie 42. I also saw him in Gods of Egypt, and there was something else I saw him in. But when I realized when he could do accents, that was a plus. And then I just said, does this guy have regal bearing? And was like, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And he proved that in Captain America Civil War. That, to be quite honest, I thought some of the acting he did was better there than in Black Panther. So, I was like, all that was like, yeah, excellent, excellent. This is his replacement. This is the reason why we couldn't recast immediately. Okay, all they did with this is like, oh, you know what? We need somebody who's not going to be taller than Shuri because she's going to end up being the Black Panther anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna roll it back because people he's saying he keeps talking about this is the choice that he would have made. It can really connect with Chad. It's like
Who?
if
Kevin Feige?
No, Ryan Coogler. He's the one kind of saying this is the one.
Ryan Coogler. Man,
Wait,
okay.
wait, before you go there, I'll let you go back there if you want to, but I'll say like this. No, I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask you this question. So let's throw out Civil War. Let's say they didn't make Civil War, right? And they say we're
Mhm.
going to make a Black Panther movie, and Ryan Coogler started from scratch. I ask you, who is he going to cast as the Black Panther? And you say, I'll leave you, Chadwick Boseman. I'll leave you this guy. Who do you think? And I'm not saying those. You can pick anybody. Who is he going to cast as the Black Panther?
And Chadwick Boseman is still an option? He takes Chadwick Boseman.
No,
He takes Chadwick
he
Boseman.
takes Michael B. Jordan. We know who his first choice is. He's
Oh,
he's gonna
I'm thinking it's a choice between the two
no.
of them.
I
Yeah,
was
you
not
take
on
Michael B.
my.
Jordan.
It's like that's his first choice, and like the idea, at least when you see him, and at the same time, I think obviously Chadwick. I think he's a little thinner than when he was in Captain America. Because I was
Well, he was
surprised
sick.
to see, yeah,
He was sick when he was filming.
yeah, I was surprised to see how solid he was, and then I think when I guess he's not, it's some sort of theater thing with I guess the actors from Hamilton, but he's there with a big guy. I think the guy who plays like George Washington, and he's almost as big as that guy. I was like, he's way bigger than. I don't want to meet him in the dark alley. He looks really solid. So Marvel did a really good choice with Chadwick, and he was also already a leading man. He was a leading man
Mhm.
already in the choices. This guy is a character actor, and he looks like a character actor. Now you can have
This dude played an android. He played a synthetic in Aliens.
no,
Yes.
I'm not even gonna say it to you. But the reason why it's so the only people who've seen Industry, if he's that HBO show Industry, he's in it. And not to say his character he's a good, he acts well in that thing, but he's a gay dude, and they let you know
Well,
what hierarchy he is in the gay
well,
relationship.
there you
They
go.
really let you know in the worst way possible that I will not describe, but I was utterly appalled. They went too
I
far for
think
television.
I think the people need to know.
No, I'm not doing it.
I
I'm
think the
not
people
doing
need to
that.
know, Sam.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. No, you're not gonna make
All right. So what you're telling me is we don't have Black Panther, we have Rainbow Panther. And
I
so
should
that's where we're
have
going
said
with
that.
this. This is
I
terrible.
should have said that. But yes, that that character just walks off the show. So it's kind of like I guess he exits. He had his character had an all right arc. The moment of trying to have this romance thing with this guy was just totally terrible, and I was just like, what?
What'd you say? Oh, you said his character had a romance arc?
Yeah, the romance arc that he had in
Yeah,
the
pause. Pause.
was but it was like there was basically he's a nobody in this thing. So the hard part is that obviously we know this guy can act. He can run around doing things. We're not looking. We know we can get people that can act. We need height. We need that, and we need someone to stand up when he can talk as loud as he wants, but when he's looking up at well, they get the Stallone
We're
apple cart
casting,
thing.
we're casting. No, it's what M'Baku can be 6'5". That's fine.
Yeah,
That's perfectly fine. But T'Challa, it should be that M'Baku is very tall,
yeah,
not that T'Challa is very small. We're
yeah.
casting T'Challa. We're not casting. He would be perfect for like, hey, you want to do Miles Morales? Put this guy in here.
Yes,
Oh, he's
yeah.
30. You know, he's 35. So what?
But that's the other thing. He's the same age as Shuri. He's the same age. What kind of jump the shark thing is this? I
This is
know they
called I
killed
have.
the jump the shark so they could do stuff like this. Like jump the shark, the YouTube channel, no, page is gone. The web page is gone. All of the ideals that they did to stop people from doing this, they're the same age.
this is, oh, good grief. Good grief. Now this is no cool. This is just, hey, I don't know how the audience will warm up to it, but see, this is the stuff you ever remember these series you would see like in the 70s, and they would have like, of course you have the black best friend.
Yeah.
And then, the lead would be a white guy, he's like 6 foot and better, and the black dude is like, literally the black dude looks like a kid next to him. This is what this reminds me of, that type of stuff. Now, I'm still understanding. Look, the lead is going to be the tallest guy in the movie. That's how it works that's usually how it works. With some exceptions. But this over here is like understanding how it works, and then you still cast this dude, and he could have easily you could have put him in here if you want to put him in there. Put him in there as somebody else, but he's supposed to be no. No, no. They just decided we're going to feminize Wakanda. We're not going to stop. Hey, I've only got one more film left on my contract anyway. I can do what I want. Doesn't really matter, and just go through and just go forward with it. This is just disappointing. As somebody who's a very big Black Panther fan, and I'm not talking about Black Panther from the movies. I'm talking solid Black Panther, comic books, Fantastic Four 52 all day. And then to see this is just borderline disrespectful for me.
Well,
I don't have the same. I don't have the same compunctions like about the Falcon, because the Falcon is 6'2" in the comics, and him as Anthony Mackie playing, literally it's like a shoulder shrug. It's like, whatever. But the Black Panther, and he's gonna be smaller than the Falcon? No, wrong, wrong.
well, the other thing when you mentioned you saying like them better and like Black Panther, Chadwick and better and Captain America. I think the hard part is um, Ryan Coogler was doing a ensemble, and even though the Russos were doing an ensemble, the scenes of Black Panther shows up, and you're like, these are the Black Panther scenes, and the scene before it was the Winter Soldier scene, and but it just turned into the Winter Soldier versus the Avengers, and now it's turned into the Black Panther versus and the way the Russos kind of more so in Infinity War how they're able to shift focus, and thankfully Chadwick Boseman did get to do a solo movie with them, and not to take anything away from Ryan Coogler. It's just the thing, but having having Michael B. Jordan, who's his De Niro, it's kind of the focus is going to shift. So the hard thing me and Mars did a thing on the Black Panther at Brick, and that people were like, with some people, it was this thing. The best part was there's one kid was like, hey, he was into the Black Panther, none of the others. And this is a little kid. Everyone else is, not everyone else, but some people, Killmonger is right. Oh, he's gonna burn down everything. He's right. Yeah, okay. But anyway, to say this is not a good choice. There's nothing to say about the actor. The actor, anyone can act. The hard part is getting a look and getting someone to act. That's the thing. On the Chappelle show, and they were saying, well, the problem we have here is, we want to get a comedian that can, read the teleprompter and get the lines. That's what we need. We
Anyone
needed someone that could work as an actor that's large and has the presence, and then we'll figure out the acting part after that.
anyone can act. No one can act tall. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. So,
And then there's literally having physical presence. And that picture that you have up there, every time I look at it, it's a groaner, because without saying a word, M'Baku has physical presence.
mhm.
I mean, it would be like, it's like Batman fighting Bane. Bane is all hopped up on Venom, so you already know he's bigger, but he's bigger than a guy who's already big. That's what comes into place. Like, whoa, Batman's already like, big dude. It's like 6 and change, 200 some odd pounds, and Bane is bigger than him. Okay, not to the point where it looks like, literally, he looks like he's M'Baku's son.
Well, I think that's the thing that I don't know. I think the part of the casting that it's definitely getting Winston Duke as M'Baku and saying in the comic book scene Black Panther versus Manny and having the size difference, and then definitely seeing the same size difference with Cap and Manny, and then later when you see him in well, and to a lesser extent because he wasn't that tough when you see him later on against like Tiger or something like that. But yeah, this is just a bad sort of thing, and also it shows that they were wrong in what they did. Putting Shuri in the spot, not just replace. I mean, I'm in another. The thing is, one of our videos, one of my pieces, since all of this is, we share videos. They got a piece of me saying, hey, this isn't taken away from Ryan Coog, right? From this isn't taken from Chadwick Boseman. This is just, we lost someone. We lost William Hurt. You can say, oh well, like you can come up with any excuse. Every other actor that has been replaced or changed, or the only I think I know Superman, Superboy in the cartoon, not the cartoon, in the television show, that one was replaced. But there's been replacements, and there's replacements when you get bothered with an actor. So if you're gonna do that and say, no, this is a case of someone dying, so we want to remember them. No, you celebrate their death, and celebrate them in death, and then you're moving on with your films and trying to do that. That's the hardest thing to kind of do and try to capture this. But you don't shoot yourself in the foot going with Shuri and then doubly shoot yourself in the foot saying, well, we're just going to have T'Challa Jr. in here. And it's just like bring back, bring back, recast. That was the idea. But this thing has not helped in destroying T'Challa this way, has not helped. It just reminds us how much we've lost with Chadwick Boseman not being there because they haven't found anyone to match him, and it just made the Black Panther character and the Black Panther in the comics itself interchangeable. Okay, yeah, I didn't really like in the comic books when Shuri shows up and she's kind of saying, "Yeah, I did that 5 seconds ago. I did, I thought you would have made that move 2 hours ago." Like I didn't like any of that stuff. I don't need to have him have a sibling, and they kind of toned it down a little bit. But we got the movie we got that was super bad, and um, Wakanda Forever, bad follow up, and now we're going even worse. So
I still haven't seen that movie.
well, you
I
can't
still haven't seen Wakanda Forever.
think of you got Avatar that has beautiful water scenes, and then you have Aquaman that has super cheesy, but the it's super shiny, but at the same time, there's you can tell that they spent a lot of money on it, and then you have Wakanda Forever, where the underwater scenes are just super terrible, and you know, it's just how can you? It just they just shouldn't have done it. If you can't do Atlantis and not come up with something that's not going to be Avatar level, throw it out. And then that's the bigger issue than all the other issues with Wakanda Forever. But now this is another bad step, and there's 3 million people defending this guy. It's not about him being an actor. He's just not the right. This is what casting is, and now we're just changing what casting is back to what they made it work for Batman '89. That didn't mean it worked. They made it work with Michael Keaton. But the hard part is that
What, you mean the first Batman movie?
yeah, they made it work.
You
But
know why that worked? That worked because of us, because we were so hyped, we didn't care.
well, I can't because he got beat up by the black guy at the end of the movie, and I'm like, yo, he didn't even throw a punch. He kicked him.
Yeah,
He's
I
super
love
soft.
I love that. I love that scene. It was like, whap, whap, yeah, get him.
The black guy is like, yo, yanking around, throwing Batman. I'm like, do something.
No, that
like,
dude was that dude was like, hey, it's not Bruce Wayne in this suit, it's Michael Keaton.
like, yeah.
They got away,
like
they got away with so much stuff. They got away with so much stuff in that first Batman movie. They got because it was the first Batman movie. It was this big event. We were all hyped for it. We loved every single thing about the movie. We screamed for everything. And even years later, you watch it, it's like, okay, this is cool. But we knew good and well that Michael Keaton was not Bruce Wayne and he couldn't be Batman. We knew this. Okay, we knew this watching that movie. So they just got away with stuff. They got away with stuff because this was again, it was the first big screen Batman movie. They got away with it. They didn't get away with anything with Black Panther because the casting was correct.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a total thumbs down, and I don't care if we get the Anne Rice at the end of the day. Say have people lie and say, hey,
You love Tom Cruise?
like yeah, like they just put a gag order on Anne Rice. They said, you mess with our money, we mess with yours. So they had people saying she totally loved it. She smiled the whole the way to the bank. That's what she did. But she fought. She tried to fight. She like not to say obviously she just felt Rutger Hauer. This is happening in another movie, but she felt Rutger Hauer would be better for that part. She didn't want Tom Cruise for that part. And,
Well, then she lucked out because she didn't lose any steam with Tom Cruise.
yeah,
So she lucked out on that.
they were like, "Hey, you say anything else? we like you're
Well,
what
you
we do
can't.
comes out of your money, not ours." So
Well, yeah, and I mean, look, you have to be at some point. The actors go and they play in these movies, and they can tell whether or not the movie sucks or not. If they think it was a good experience, the actors never come out and say, you know what, this is the worst experience I've ever had. I can't imagine this movie being successful. They never say that. They always try to talk up the parts of the movie that they think they can extol positively. And Rice in the same thing. It's like, hey, wait a second, you're going to tank this movie before it even gets out? No, we're going to take this. No, that's going to be your money. All of a sudden, she knows how to shut up.
well, it's happening in another movie, The Children of Blood and Bone, where
Mhm.
the lead, which at some point I was thinking we were going to talk about, but or recently, probably maybe today, not today for you viewers, but it's going through it. The writer is complaining about the girl from the Acolyte being in there because she had a different look, wanted a darker skin actress. And it's kind of taking a life of its own because people are
Oh,
just kind of
well.
picking apart and saying, oh, this, oh, that. And all these people that want to fight diversity is saying, hey, this complexion thing, colorism. So it's going that route where it's just like, look, that the writer wants to do, but the writer can't say what it is exactly. The writers, because they don't want to be nailed down. So it's letting the audience and the pundit and the news people pick up and run with it. And I'm like saying, people asking me, and I'm like saying, I'm not, not because I can't talk about colorism, but I don't want to talk about it if it's not colorism. Like, and at the same time, colorism today is just when we point and see it. Oh, we think this is uh Halle Berry is colorism, and who's it? Robin Givens was way more successful than her until some point later. She's playing she's getting the bigger role than Halle. I'm like, oh, Halle's in this Boomerang movie. Oh, she turns out to be the love interest. No, she's so kind of the side piece in this. But anyway, we can get into that at some point later. But the
That's
writers,
that's that's their argument for colorism.
well, the people pointing out and saying Hallie's success. I'm saying to you that obviously Halle, if you go, in truth,
Isn't it something? Isn't it something how far we've come that people have the luxury of arguing about this even when there's no basis for it? We've gone all the way from where somebody would look at it as a like literally it's like a sociological anthropological position that depending on your color it meant whether or not you were in the field or in the house, and now these guys are worried about who gets the role.
well,
That's where they're with it now.
yeah, yeah. Well,
They
I
got
think,
too much time on their hands.
but the hard part is that it's not even the black audience it's like the white audience that's struggling with diversity, and they're saying,
Mhm.
oh, look, they're saying the
Hey, them
complexion.
too.
But I'm saying to you like this. I'm saying like this. The hard part is the problem with diversity is not what the diversity is. Hey, if Ryan Coogler had the Black Panther, so he can go get a movie greenlit. Me or you come in and we have the best script ever, and they're saying to Hollywood putting Lupita and what's the name, is we did it. We gave y'all. She's in that movie. Us green lighting this movie. We That's not going to play overseas. No, we got all these things. We got charts and graphs. And they're like, no, Lupita's that's it. We don't have to green light these things. So the hard part is the casting, and Hollywood's just giving us these plums and saying, hey, look, she's in the Odyssey, so you can't say Oscar, so what? And this is what they do. But people are trying to grab these terms, and I'm saying, from my experience, when people are trying to use colorism, it's like, to me, it's like, hey, I don't when I don't get any girls, it's fine. When I'm getting girls, it's like, hey, they like you because of this. And like, what? You remember you had it before Wesley Snipes, you had it good. Like, when did I have it good? Like, for a short period, but I didn't grow. Like, the thing of it is, they try to put what they saw in Spike Lee's movie into the present, and it's kind of like, no. And the thing is, you have people that experienced it, but we already know the side of, of light skinned, kind of people, like light skinned black people having a side saying this is only for us, or being, and as you were saying. But then the other hard part is, you have someone with the complexion of Eartha Kitt, and her being considered yellow. I don't know if she had a shift of color, but she was considered yellow as a kid, and she was treated, severely badly. And then when she was a success and people came to see her, she was kind of like, "What the?" That's a person who experienced it, and to a less extent. My father didn't deal with um, colorism in that sense, but at the same time, he one who told me that the paper bag test went both ways. So as one group says you can't hang out with us, the other group says y'all can't hang out with us. And when he was a kid, being brown skinned, and he was playing with his the other Bardens, he was playing, and he was running around. And my grandfather's like, very dark, and a lot of the Bardens were not all some of the same complexion or lighter, but most were very dark, except for, I think, Alfred. No, he's more brown skin, but around my father's complexion. But as a kid, he to them they were oddball, and people were like, "What's that kid?" And he's not my complexion. My father's brown, like you could see, I guess more like Ryan Coogler. But it's like what is that kid doing here? And that was the first time he heard his grandfather from his father's side say, "Oh, that's my grandson." But he had no connection with his grandson. But he, said, "This kid can play here." But that's kind of the real sort of thing. And we only see the paper bag test going one way. So, but bring it up today, it ain't that. You can't. If someone likes a light skinned girl, they turn that into colorism. And it's like, all right, yeah, okay. Someone, look at this one. They got a part. They killed the girl from Cooley High. If you remember, the light skinned girl from that thing, because she
Yeah.
isn't. She didn't become a success. She didn't become like the biggest thing in Hollywood after being in Cooley High. And but at the same time, they say, "Oh, she died." She's like, "No, she didn't. She tried her time in Hollywood. It didn't work. She just got a regular job." So why did our community have to kill her? She died because obviously she would have been a big success, Anyway, that's going so far off. This Black Panther character is
We see, this is what happens. This is what happens when we get bad casting. It leads to these type of digressions, which tend to be more interesting than the overall discussion we were having about this poor casting.
and this is not to say I've seen him as the hard part was he wasn't a regular android in Romulus. He he was like a android with autism. He was like he's a mentally challenged android. He's like, what are they doing here? And it's like, could he just no? This is how he's with them, and he's
You
struggling.
knew, you know exactly what they're doing. Okay. How many times do we have to see Buck the Wonder Slave before we recognize it? That's exactly what was going on here.
It's just ridiculous. And this is your what's the name? I'm gonna do it. You made me do it. We've gone too far on this. And in industry, he well, I haven't watched the show since then, but in industry, after a night of whatever they did together, he's so proud that the guy's released on him. He's gonna go into work not cleaning it off. And
Did you
I'm
say,
like,
oh, whoa, whoa, whoa? You said guy released on him? Yo, pause
yes,
again.
you don't
Pause
see
again.
that, but they say they no, they don't see them, but you see that they actually that something was released on him. He's gonna go into work like that in a suit. I'm like, you destroyed
Triple
the
pause,
character.
triple pause, triple pause,
See, this is what
triple
I told you. You
pause.
didn't want to hear this. I'm gonna have to cut this out.
Nope, sorry. We'll fix this in post. Nope, no pause.
Anyway, that's what we're getting. This is what they did to this actor, and the hard part is, you know, well, no, I'm not. I don't even get
Well,
into.
hey, all jokes aside, I saw this actor in Romulus. I thought he did a good job there, but he's not being kept. I think it's
Yeah,
a disservice to him because I know how actors are. If they cast him to be Superman, this guy would be flying around in trunks and an S. Actors will do any role because they're actors. They're actors at the end of the day. So they're not, it's rare an actor's going to say no to a role unless they look at it and they've already got an established career and they're like, oh no, this will be terrible for my career. Actors they'll say yes to just about everything. So that being said, I understand why he takes it, Black Panther, so on and so forth, but this is a disservice to him because this is not the role that he should have been cast for. Black Panther needs a certain type of person, period. Okay. And unfortunately, it's the same thing. I've been upfront saying that I've never seen Anthony Mackie as a lead, having leading man status. He's been like the lead in films and such, but I've never seen him having the presence, the charisma, the draw of being a leading man. He still gets leads in movies here and there or series. I just don't see him that way. With this, same thing. This guy should not have been cast for Black Panther.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with that said, we covered a lot of ground. We're against it. Spinner Act is
We're out.